and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast, a 3 times weekly show looking into the exciting happenings of Ipswich Town Football Club. This is the flagship show. My name is Mikey Penty-Smith, and today I'm joined by two men who are so corporate that they've just had a catch-up over a cappuccino and are calling this a conference call. So touching base with us today is Joe Fairs and Rich Woodward. How are you both?
Good to see you, Mikey.
Should we take this offline?
Yeah, we'll take this offline. We've got a few calendar appointments to sort out as well for the rest of the season as well.
Bit of blue sky thinking as well.
Yeah, a bit of synergy, yep.
Yeah.
Just, can you smarten the audience up on why I'm calling you corporate?
I don't know, Mikey. I have no idea. Literally no idea. Is it because we're well spoken because of our facial hair? I don't know. I was invited to corporate yesterday, and Joe's a frequent flyer there. He's in the VIP lounge usually. So I was bringing the standard down, and very much enjoyed it. 3-course meal, Mikey. Half-time snack, post-match snack. Got to meet the man of the match. More on that later on. All very nice.
I suppose that's probably a good place to start. What were the 3 courses pre-game?
The formation for the meal was a mushroom soup to start with, Joe. And then
lasagna for the main.
Oh, the carb overload for the main. Lasagna with garlic bread wedges and side salad. And then a lemon tart, Mikey. That's what you want at the football.
The lemon tart was nice, actually.
It was nice little palate cleanser.
Not too big as well. It's perfect size.
And then a nice millionaire shortbread at half time.
Oh, yeah.
What was there goes one of my questions.
It was a biscuit, Joe. There was a nice little border biscuit and a cup of tea. And Johnny Walk throughout as the compere, and Brian Hamilton came in as well. Johnny Walk was hilarious. Basically, really miffed the fact that the club the size of Ipswich is playing League One football. Generally League One football, but round 1 of the FA Cup was brought out quite a lot by him in conversation with Brian Hamilton. He was reminding us how 1956 Hastings 4-0. I think we heard that about 5 times. So slumming it now.
Joe, do you mind describing what parts of the ground were open and what decisions were made, and if there was any problems for those of us part-time fans that weren't there?
Oh, I don't know exactly where it was open, but from where I was sitting, the south stand lower was open. The north stand lower was full. I think the south stand upper may have been, but I can see up there. That was cash turnstiles. And then the sort of bottom 2 tiers of the East of England co-op stand, and then the bottom tier of the Portman stand. I don't know what they're called. Is it the Cobbold stand, that one these days? And then the away fans above them. So effectively the north upper, the Britannia upper, sort of going back through the annals of time. But all the upper areas were closed apart from the south stand upper.
I think the Churchman's
really.
upper was open in case people were spilling in on the day. I think, from what I remember reading on Twitter, quite a lot of the lower areas, particularly North Stand, I think, and Co-op, sold quite well. There were just pockets of single seats, so I think they probably had the upstairs of. I have to call it Churchman's, otherwise I'll get abuse off Mullet. I think that was open and people were spilling into that, but as Joe said, we were kind of underneath that. Couldn't see from my leather seat with arms on it in the lower tier of the South Stand, Mikey.
But there was 11,500 there, which wasn't a bad attendance, I didn't think.
Good away following, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a decent
1,100 of them, I think. Yeah,
that's where our sort of attendances were going before the change of manager, really, wasn't it? We could have been having these sort of attendances as a regular basis. So
I think it leaked. Didn't it leak to the EADT that we were seriously considering closing the top tiers of the stands behind the goal had things worked out a little bit worse? I think there was some chat.
If one was shut, maybe not both of them, but
the north maybe without because you got the bar in the south, haven't you? So it's yeah. So
I'm sure when we draw Spurs at home in the 3rd round, all of the stands will be open. But yeah, let's go back in time a little bit and discuss the news. Not a lot really happened in between your midweek show and the game, Rich. It was confirmed that our game against Oxford has been postponed. That was fully expected, and let's not go down that rabbit hole again. Flynn Downs and Andre Dezelle have been included in the England under-20 squad for games against Portugal and Iceland. And just going to throw this one at you, Joe. Which of the two do you think is most likely to get a game for the England under-21s in the future?
I think it'll be Flynn Downs at the moment, because generally the sort of age groups stay the same up until the under-20s. The same players come through, but generally once you get to under-21s, you're not going to get in that squad unless you're playing a lot of senior football. There's a couple of exceptions. I think Mark Gay, the Chelsea centre-back, he doesn't play a lot of senior football, but is in the under-21 squad. But generally it's players that are performing in the actual league that gets called up to those squads, unless they've been exceptional through the age groups and are in the system. But if you're at a team like Ipswich and you're not playing regularly, you're not going to play for England under-21s.
How many League One players are there in the under-21s, Joe? It feels like he'd be a bit of an outlier. Yeah, he's playing first-team football, right? But yeah, I wonder whether there's a stigma.
Premier League players, really. I haven't looked at the squad in great detail, but it's sort of Premier League and top-end Championship players. Really, you're going to struggle from League One to get in there.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting that either of them were going to get a call up this season, but let's say that we do get promoted, which I was asking, which one do you think had the best chance of getting in the squad in the Championship? And I guess your answer stays the same, Flynn Downs. So staying on the subject of young players, on Friday it was announced that Corian Darber and Bailey Clements are going out on loan to Hemel Hempstead. Good news for those two, Rich?
Yeah, I think certainly for Corian Darber, who's the end we've talked about his end of last season where he was kind of on the cusp of a first team appearance and then had a bit of a nightmare into the season with the under-23s. So I think he was set to go to Chelmsford, wasn't he, Joe? And then that move kind of got vetoed, I think.
Financial reasons.
And I think for Bailey Clements, I think it's just more competitive football. I don't think he's had that experience yet. I think he's quite well thought of in the under-23s. I think he might have captained a few under-23 games. So I think it's just minutes for him. Though sadly that move happened Thursday, Friday last week, and I think both of them were told they're going to start, they're going to play, and Corey did, but Bailey Clements was on the bench. So that move might not last long if they don't give him minutes. But they got beat by Braintree. They got Sammy Moore there, who's ex-ITFC, isn't he? I think he played once for us, Joe. Sunderland away, I seem to recall.
I think it was a cup or a league
Wimbledon
game
or something. Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah, but he played for Wimbledon for a number of years after leaving us. But he was part of the team that won the Youth Cup back in 2005.
But I think they both, at this point, Mike, they can only go to non-league teams anyway. I think competitive minutes is good. We're kind of seeing Luke Wolfen, and I guess is the name at the moment that has gone through that. Got minutes again. To be fair, at Swindon as well in the league, and maybe that's the destination for Bailey Clements after this one. Corian Darber, similar to Barry Cotter. I think it's about getting maybe your head back in gear and regrouping to hit the under-23s again, because I think at the moment, I don't know whether Joe agrees with this, I think Bailey Clements has probably got the better chance out of the two of them to be making first team football for us this season. It seems a strange one with Colchester only being on Tuesday night. I wonder whether both of them might have had a go on that one, given we'd rotated so severely for Lincoln. But anyway, yeah, you hope they get minutes and you hope it builds the confidence and they come back and can knock on with us.
Absolutely. And in news more predictable than Ipswich failing to win an FA Cup tie is that the Ipswich women's team swept aside Basildon at the Gold Star
no
Ground.
issues for them, was it?
Ended 5-0. That was an FA Cup first round game as well, and few would bet against them supplementing their fine league form with a cup run as well. So well done to the Ipswich women. So yeah, speaking of the FA Cup first round, Lincoln were the visitors for Ipswich Town as we played in the first round of the competition for the first time since the 1950s, as you'd already mentioned.
Hastings 4-0. I think John Moore mentioned it.
Did Hastings play a direct style of football?
We didn't get that information, actually, Mikey.
I've heard the game was a big battle.
Yeah, a 10-6-6 formation. That's poor, isn't it? As expected, Paul Lambert shuffled the pack for this one, with only Will Norris in goal, keeping his place from the win at Rochdale. And it looked like a 4-3-3 that he lined up with Norris in goal, Donatien coming back in out of the cold from right back, Miles Kenlock similarly at left back, Wilson and Toto Enciala at centre back. And then it looked like a midfield three of Downs, who obviously didn't play against Rochdale. Yeah, Dazelle and Emir Hughes. Yeah. Giorgio and Dobra looked like they were going to play either side of Will Keane. But as you just alluded to, Joe, that's not really what happened, was it?
No, it started 4-4-2 with Andre Dazelle on the right, Downs, Hughes in the middle, Giorgio on the left, and Dobra up front with Will Keane. And it didn't really work.
We'll get onto that. Lincoln's team, they only made 2 changes, which seems surprising in a way, but
it should be the norm, really, shouldn't it? To try and win an FA Cup game.
It's sad that I was surprised by that, because they've got a big season. They've got a lot to play for this season as well. Like, they're not
won away yet, Mikey, under Appleton. So I wonder whether that was a factor. Kind of thought, well, let's boost a bit of confidence winning away. And obviously they take the FA Cup more seriously than we do after the last few years.
They don't have a game next week either, so.
Oh, okay, fair play. So they had Vickers in goal. Is it Toffolo at left back?
Sure.
That's a good name.
I think he's ex-Norwich, isn't he?
Okay, boo. Another ex-Norwich player at centre back, Jason Shackle. An ex-Ipswich player playing centre back. Now that to me seemed weird. Callum Connolly started at Ipswich on loan as a right back, played most of the time as a centre midfielder. Now he's playing centre back. Bit of the James Breeze going on there. Eardley was at right back, so they were playing a 4-2-3-1, I think, with O'Connor and Morel in front of the back four, Hesketh on the left, Payne in the number 10 role, wearing number 10, Andrado on the right behind Walker, the son of Des Walker. Am I right on that one?
Yeah.
Scored as many goals yesterday as Des Walker did in his whole career.
I think Hesketh and Payne, to be fair, switched around, Mikey. I think
interchangeable.
Hesketh ended up in the 10 position, I think, having only checked that on Twitter, having not physically seen that with my own eyes, because I was too busy kind of trying to force the lemon tart down. It was still kind of not really settling at that point.
Wonderful. So let's move into the action, and with Town going for a first win in the Cup in just under a decade. The first half was pretty flat. Will Keane had an angled shot saved in the 11th minute, and it's quite obvious that we're playing 4-4-2 at this stage. Dobra gets himself booked in the 33rd minute with a typical sort of lungy tackle chasing back. But 8 minutes before half-time, we go behind. And can you talk us through this one, Rich?
Yeah, it's a lovely goal. A quick breakdown our left-hand side. I think it's Andrade who's in down the right. And in all kinds of space, to be fair. I'm not sure where Kenlock is at this point. He sweeps the kind of cross into the middle of the area, and it just happens to fall straight into the path of Tyler Walker, who again sweeps it nicely in at the near post and beyond Norris. To me, it's offside. I can't see who's in the right back situation there. If VAR is looking at this one, Mikey, I think he's got a kneecap offside in my book. But it's a really quick goal. Yeah, not an armpit today. Fingernail, toenail. Really nice finish. He lets himself down with a really petulant celebration in front of the North Stand. He kind of cups his ears, and I hate when unless you're being booed or jeered, no one gives a crap about Tyler Walker.
Unless you're Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, Vardy does it to everyone. I'm not a fan of that celebration, to be honest. But really nice goal.
Vardy is usually getting all sorts of abuse from the home fans, isn't he? So you can kind of justify it.
Yeah.
But
you're asking for it, aren't you?
One, I did wonder whether there was something going on there, because I remember Nugent doing it at Portman Road back when he was with Preston. But that's because he'd done an awful foul on Cito.
Well, there's narrative with Nugent, wasn't there? I think someone must have posted it. I think he might have done it when he scored for Forest against us as well a few seasons back.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
It's just I'm not a fan of it, Mikey, but it was a nice goal, nice move, kind of counter-attacking move. They had the better of the ball. We did a couple of bits and pieces, but it was no surprise when they scored to me, and half-time wasn't too shortly after that. And yeah, I'm trying to look back through my notes. I've got Joe knows all about the Dobra kind of challenge there. He kind of tried to do something smart, lost the ball, and then dived it on. I think it was Walker, actually. I think he dived in on clear yellow card, but we only got one foul from the referee in the first half. The referee was not popular yesterday.
I thought we didn't get any. I read that
there was a booking for
not a single free kick, but that we played
advantage
when he
played
advantage on that, so we didn't get one free kick for the whole half.
But
right at the start of the second half, this stat had been sort of circulated at half time, and within 20 seconds of the start of the half, we got a free kick. So I think
ironic cheers galore.
Yeah,
at that stage. Right. I was just going to say, Joe, did you have any observations from the first half? Were you disappointed? I mean, were you disappointed by the lineup?
Yeah, I was very disappointed. I expected it, but I saw Stuart Watson did a big piece in the paper today about the FA Cup. It's 15 ties where we haven't won one. We're in the first round against Lincoln. We've got massive gaps in our season. Try and win the game. Yeah, make some changes. Try and get some players fit. But at the moment, we talk about, we've got 60 games this season. Well, we're not going to have that because we get knocked out of the Cup straight away. Or we need players to get fit. Rotate the squad a bit more in the games, because just making 10 changes, chucking them all in cold, playing there. If this is how we're going to treat cup ties, why bother even entering the competition? It's a bit of a joke, really. We should be looking to win these games and trying to keep the momentum going, doing something. And obviously, I don't really like it, but the fact we've got a replay, I think it's exactly what we deserve. Having an extra game and trying to play the system. I saw one of the players in town last night, but I was in Aquarate and one of the players walked in and I was chatting to the guy that owns it, and he came over and said, are you looking forward to the replay? And his reply was, F that. So.
But to Joe's point, Mikey, about the lineup, it took us about 25-30 minutes to figure out who each other were. I think Kenlock was probably okay. Dazal and Hughes, you'd expect as better players to be on the ball quite a lot, but no, Keane had the chance. There was a few crosses that flew across the area that he should have got on the end of, but no one looked familiar. No one looked like they knew what they did. Donassian down the right, just out of position, constantly drifting in centrally as he tends to do, and that's more the point, I think, as well as just giving two fingers up to the FA Cup, as we do. There's more rotation, which we're starting to bemoan a little bit. This is a great example of it. Just if Flink had anything about them, they would have been 2-3 up in the first half. The fact is they weren't. Walker missed an easy header, and I'm just pissed off because the replay is what none of us wanted. None of us wanted it at all. Unless Christmas is a bit an annoying away day for some people and they wanted to tick off Lincoln off their 91 or 92, then you've got an extra opportunity.
Which is what Rich wants to do.
I'm now mulling it over, so there's a potential there, but no one wins yesterday with a replay, Mikey. Literally.
Absolutely, yeah. You're spot on. We didn't make any changes at the start of the second half.
Dazal and Dobra, I think, switched around, Joe.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So Dazal then moved into the number 10 position, which isn't one that you think really suits Dazal, is it, Joe?
I think parts of it suits him, sort of getting on the ball and trying to turn. He does play better from deeper, but I think he'd be a good 10 in the way he gets on the ball and actually makes things happen. Like the assist to Jackson on Tuesday night was from effectively that 10 position where he gets close and sort of plays a ball for a really tight gap and does it. So I think it worked quite well. This is a sort of formation I've been saying I'd like us to try, and it was that sort of proper 4-3-3 with Giorgio to the left of Keane, Dobra to the right, Dazal behind him, and those three supported Keane so much better in the second half. In the first half, we just were not getting bodies around Keane at all. He was really isolated, even though we were supposedly playing 4-4-2. We just were not getting anyone around Keane. So second half we actually played quite well, I think, in patches, and deserved what we got out of the game.
Okay, so on 59 minutes there was some excitement as the ball fails to drop in the box for Keane. Lincoln quickly counter, and Norris eventually has to make a good save at the feet of Walker. Not sure whether he'd have cupped his ears in front of the Churchmans or not. Guion Edwards then comes on for Dobra a few minutes later, and we twice get decent crosses that just evade Will Keane in the box. The first from Flynn Downs and then the second one from Emir Hughes. But on 75 minutes, it looks like tie over, and it's Toto Enciala again giving away a penalty. Joe, can you talk us through it?
Well, I've been sort of...
Without using the word clumsy, Joe, don't use the word clumsy.
I've criticised Enciala quite a lot this season, and sort of in recent times, about how he gives away too many free kicks, too many penalties by diving in. But I did feel he was pretty unlucky with this yesterday, because he doesn't really dive in. He should do a bit better, but he doesn't really dive in. I don't think he touches him at all, and Hesketh just chucks himself up in the air as sort of a bit of a swan dive and lands on the floor. And not with Enciala, normally I don't give him the benefit of the doubt and sort of say, oh, well, he's given the ref a decision to make. But I do think this was incredibly hard, and I think the free kick should have been going the other way with a yellow card for Hesketh for the dive, because it wasn't a foul, that one. But it's Enciala. He's maybe the reputation with the fans is the same as with the referees, and he does seem to get punished for everything he does. He's not a particularly... It's about as subtle as a punch in the face. But.
Yeah, to me, it looked like Enciala was... wary of giving away a penalty in that situation, and he sort of holds himself back, and it was possibly that indecisiveness that gave Hesketh the opportunity to buy the foul or not foul, whatever you want to call it.
Maybe he's a bit. I think he might be a bit slow to, because Hesketh sharply turns inside him, and maybe that catches Enciala out. Because actually, if he faces up to Hesketh, he can just block him. He's running straight at him, but Hesketh's quite cute. I think Joe's right in the fact that Enciala maybe doesn't really know what to do. I think he leaves a bit too much of himself out there, and Hesketh makes the most of it, as Joe said. I just think it's maybe a lack of brains maybe on Enciala's part to get in that situation.
The ref was straight at it, and I don't know. I think he was unlucky, but he seems to be unlucky quite a lot in these situations. So,
but then what happens with the penalty, Jay?
Tyler Walker steps up. Will Norris, who, according to Jordan Mitchell, who I spoke to who was another one in the corporate area yesterday, whose wife went to school with Will Norris's brother. He has got an excellent record at saving penalties. I think it's something like 6 in 9 he saved for Wolves. And this one, he sort of makes himself big, keeps banging the crossbar, which is a bit sort of like a gorilla mating call, it seems. And Tyler Walker, it's one of those ones. Keeper goes the right way, and all of a sudden it's not a good penalty. It's a good height for the keeper. He palms it down, but not just that, he gets up quickly, and Walker does put the second effort wide, but I think Norris getting right up in his face there really put him off. Had he got up a little bit slower, Walker would have had a much easier chance to finish that. And really good save, really good goalkeeping.
And then 4 minutes later, Rich, what happens there?
Wow, 4 minutes later, Mikey, we've been up off out of our leather chairs once in 75 minutes and 79 minutes. It happens again. It's Georgiou playing Kenlock in down the left hand side. I think again, kind of similar to Hesketh catching out Enciala. I don't know who I've not done enough research to care who the Lincoln player is, but Kenlock cuts in on his right foot and puts the guy on his arse. Is really smart, similar to kind of Jackson picking out Norwood at Southend. Low ball to Dazal, and it's a really class finish from Dazal. Left foot, kind of side foot finish across the ball into the far corner, kind of over the despairing keeper dive and defenders jumping on it. Perfectly hit right in the side of the net. Lovely goal, lovely stuff, Mikey. And to be fair to Andre, goal. I think he he's not going to give you a complete 90-minute performance, but he was good on the ball yesterday, classing the ball, used it well, and we know that he can do that kind of stuff. And I really hope that he plays on Tuesday as well, Joe. I don't know if that's too many games
I don't think he can, but I don't think he can.
Oh, he's under 20s, of course, isn't he?
But also the second England under 20 game, just jumping ahead, clashes with the replay of the Lincoln game. So I don't know whether we'll pull him out to play one of those. I don't know whether him or Downs will come back for that, but it clashes.
It sets up a grandstand, final 10 minutes, Mikey, because I was sat there having the conversation with the people I was with, saying 80-minute mark is kind of you're 1-0 down, you score now, or you basically just let Lincoln win the tie because no one wants the replay. So it kind of forced our hand. There's a few subs that follow in the next sort of 10 minutes that try to take the game to them. But this is we've kind of put ourselves in the position of having to do something about the match now, and unfortunately we didn't do enough.
So as you mentioned, Rowe comes on for Downs, quite a positive change. Kenlock hits a shot just past the post. He seems to be attacking with a bit of confidence at this stage.
We talked about Flynn Downs' effort. Is that the Flynn? I think that's Flynn Downs.
No, of course, yeah. Sorry, I have completely missed that one out. That was at 1-1, wasn't it? But so that must have been just after the goal.
Was really close.
2 minutes later, I think. 2-3. Yeah, really drops the shoulder and looked close.
It looked in from where I was, and then it clattered against the back sort of stanchion post.
Yeah, it would be good for Downs to get that sort of 25-yard powerful shot in his locker, wouldn't it? A bit like Fabinho's effort for Liverpool today.
Oh, bravo.
Norwood then comes on for Giorgio, perhaps a little bit too late.
Yeah, definitely too late.
Minutes. I mean,
I'm not sure he got a touch.
The fact that we didn't bring Rowe or Norwood on until it got to 1-1 suggests that Lambert was kind of happy with it playing out at 0-1, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
And so that's it. That's all there is really to.
There's one chance for Lincoln. They could have. I think Hughes is off. It's a shackle chance. I think I can't. I've gone looking for commentary bits and pieces, and I don't actually recall that. But I know they had a sight quite near the end. We didn't really have anything. So I think we were resorting to pumping balls into the penalty area, and it didn't really work. And the ball doesn't really stick with Keane. But yeah, and disappointing end really. You were hoping. I think we were all hoping, having got back into it, that we would try and get something out of the game. But yeah, really kind of dour end as the fixture, to be honest.
Would you two? I made the suggestion that Lambert would have probably rather have lost that 1-0 than drawn 1-1. Where do you two stand on it? Are you happier with 1-1 than you would have been with 1-0?
Personally, I'd rather still be in the competition and not in it. And like I say, I think it's just desserts for making so many changes and getting the one thing you don't want. We now have 3 games in 6 days against after the international break, so. I don't know. I just find our whole attitude to the FA Cup, especially, very frustrating. This is sad. Like the EFL Trophy is totally different because it's a Mickey Mouse competition that we don't really want to be in, and we can use it to give minutes to players that aren't playing and help get people fit. But I don't know. I just think the FA Cup should be treated with more respect than it is, and we've got a big enough squad to handle it. And I say,
yep, I agree with all that. Yep.
Yeah, I suppose in an ideal world we would have given Dazelle the opportunity to play, and Hughes, maybe Wilson as well, maybe even Kenlock. It made sense that Donatien got a chance at right back, but it would have been nice to have had some of the first team players in as well.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I feel like you kind of need a blend between that league team and the leasing.com team, because that team that played yesterday, if it had have clicked, it would have been a little bit pointless because they're not going to play in any of the league games. But yeah, so congratulations to Malden and Tiptree. At least we've got one local team in the second round. They won 2-1 at Leyton Orient.
Great goals. Did you see the goals, Mikey?
I haven't seen the goals, no.
One of them is George Weyer-esque. I think it's a guy called Slew. Dribbles from his own 18-yard line all the way through.
I think he was an FA Youth Cup winner when he was at Sheffield United or Blackburn. Is it Jerome Slew or Jordan Slew? One of them was really highly rated.
And then Parish as well, I think, who was at Brentford. He smashes one into the bottom corner as well. 2 really great goals. Is it Wayne Brown the man
in the league? There? Yeah, they're flying. They're top of the league. I think they've won every game this season.
Barcelona kit.
Yeah.
I watched them in pre-season in the basin where they play, and it was, I'd say, we drew 0-0. It wasn't a bad effort against them with our under-23 side.
Is it a sticky pitch in Tiptree, Joe?
Even I got that one.
Yeah. Should we go on to some Twitter questions?
Do it.
Yes. The quicker the better.
Okay, so Jack Barham, quite a smart question, this one. Does it seem like Lambert cares more about the cup than the previous manager?
No.
Rich.
Go on, Jay. Well,
he seems to care less about the cup than the previous manager. Yeah. I don't think we ever made this many changes under Mick. I don't know. I just think I don't want to keep banging on about it, but part of what Lambert has done is raise a sort of spirit of the fans and the club, and it surprises me that he gets away with not even trying in the cups, where it was one of the biggest criticism levelled at McCarthy that we didn't ever have a cup run, and he didn't treat the game seriously. Where I don't really see how Lambert's getting away with it, because all Mick was trying to do was finish as high up the league as he could, and that's all Lambert's trying to do. And our fans want a cup run. We want a big away tie at a Premiership club or stuff like that, and a money spinner. Like, how great would it be if we get to the third round and we get a Spurs away and we can all go out to the new stadium, or a West Ham away and go there and cause mayhem with the East Londoners.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that one as well. Daryl refers to Ipswich as procrastinate FC. That's a word that I just can't say, I'm afraid, even though I've spent most of my life doing it. Ipswich have turned a fixture list they could control by playing matches on time into one they can't control by postponing league matches and flopping in the cup. How can Lambert expect to play his strongest team when he has no clue when they will be playing? Rich?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit already in relation to yesterday, or the Lincoln game, sorry, and a bit more smattering of legit first teamers, i.e. the people that were at Rochdale and Southend, probably would have given us a bit more of an edge yesterday. But he's right, yeah, and we're making these decisions consciously. We're making the decision to totally rotate, 10 players it was yesterday, I think it was, playing a slightly different formation, albeit with Dobber and Keane notionally looking like a front two. I'm not sure it ever was. He's right. Yeah, we are consciously making these decisions. I don't think we're thinking medium term. We're thinking short term. We're thinking, we'll go with the international break because Norwood needs to rehabilitate. Vincent Young needs to rehabilitate, and Downs is probably our best player, and he's away. So that deals with the next 2 weeks. But you don't then think about, and Joe's talked about this quite a lot in this pod throughout the season, this congestion is going to come, and it's going to come probably the really crap bit of the season over Christmas and New Year. It'll be into the New Year. We'll have to move fixtures Tuesday nights. There'll be some really crappy away trips as well that we'll have to, Lincoln is an annoying distance away. I think I'm trying to remember my play your stats right or whatever it is, but it's like 150 odd miles away. That's another Wednesday night that we're going to have to travel up, travel back down. Well,
we've now got to play Lincoln on the Wednesday, Blackpool on the Saturday, and Wycombe on the Tuesday.
And
I think we are through in the EFL Trophy, aren't we? I think we're totally through. We're going to end up potentially with like 6 midweek games in a row through December.
November's crap, isn't it? And let's be honest. Yeah, I'm not. That was the only reason I went on Saturday, apart from the very polite and nice gesture of the corporate, was that's the only game I'm going to see in November at home.
Well, we're going to go for a stage of playing effectively one league game in about 25 days because of, and the way we're treating the other competitions, the players aren't playing. So Luke Chambers, James Norwood, Caden Jackson, they're going to play one league game. They're going to play one game in 25 days, and then they're going to have to play something like 5 games in sort of 15 days.
So you get the flip side, don't you? So you've got 10 players who've hardly featured, or 5 or 6 players who've hardly featured the last few months, who get a game yesterday and are expected to kind of click and digger straight away. Now you're going to have players like Norwood, who, as you say, is not going to play for a few weeks and is probably going to lose a bit of match fits, and we're going to probably end up arranging behind the scenes friendlies to keep our first teamers fit. It's just bizarre and crazy, Mikey.
Are we relying on our big squad being able to cope with a sort of an influx of games better than anyone else's? Is that what we're doing? That when we play Saturday, Tuesday, that we can make 4 or 5 changes on a Tuesday and have a better team than who we're up against, who can't afford to maybe make 4 or 5 changes because they haven't got the quality and depth as us? I don't know. It's like I say, if we get to the end of the season, we get promoted, all this will be a moot point and no one will talk about it. But I just think we cancel these games because we don't want to miss one player, but then we're happy to rest 10 players for the next game.
Oh, and we've seen now that our second string against Lincoln's first string were good enough for just about a draw. If we want to play these players and rotate them into the league when it matters, I think most of these players we found wanting.
Yeah. One positive though is that it does give the Saturday, Tuesday does give you more of an opportunity to chat about something interesting in the midweek shows. Rich, not saying that any of them haven't been interesting. I'm a keen listener, unlike maybe some members of the podcast who will remain nameless. So one person that might not mind about games annoying distances away from Ipswich is Mullet, and his question is, Andre Dazelle, aka the Orwell Perlo, is he and his goal the biggest success from today's, and that's Saturday's, debacle? Joe?
I think that is a big success of the day, and I think especially the second half performance. The first half wasn't good from him. He struggled, but what do you expect? He's playing right midfield in a 4-4-2. He's probably never played that position in his life at any level. And in the second half, he got into the middle of the pitch. He got on the ball a lot. He helped to make things happen. He was very good on the ball, as you expect him to be. Forced the issue a number of times, some decent passes and a lovely goal to go with it. So yeah, I was pleased that he got that chance in the middle, because I think I did see might be a later question, but could he be competing with Alan Judge for that role, who hasn't hit the heights we expect of him this season?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Matthew Noble's question. This is perhaps the one that I should have gone for first. He says Mick would have been absolutely slaughtered for today's team selection. Why is it different for Lambert? A 2-week break before Blackpool. We should have been playing our strongest side. Rich, I suppose you're in agreement with him.
So yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about the kind of the context for this particular fixture, but the issue with Mick and our lack of FA Cup run under Mick is that largely we knew that we weren't going to be relegated under Mick, and we would have a comfortable mid-table finish, and maybe we'd go up near the playoffs or something like that, but we'd be safe. And so the FA Cup was a distraction from being average in the Championship. So I think that was why Mick got more pelters from supporters, is we're not going to challenge up the top, so let's have a distraction elsewhere. And we never got that. We might have got a bit of a Carabao League Cup run once, I think, under him when we ended up at Man United. But that's all I think people wanted into the new year was, look, just a bit of a distraction. Different teams. We'd got bored of the Championship, having been there for 10, 15, whatever years. I'm trying to do the maths in my head. And I think that was why Mick got the abuse. It was context. Yesterday, top of the league, I think that's why Lambert gets a bit of a pass, is at least in the league, we haven't got anything to moan about. And if we were, 12th in League One, and we needed something to make our season a bit more special, I think we'd be expecting, certainly, leasing.com trophy to be trying to win that, and an FA Cup round 3 tie at a Premier League team, So I think context is important.
Yeah, I think Mick lost a lot of goodwill when we went up to Manchester United and he played Peter Malachik and Josh Allworth centre-back, and they were up against Anthony Martial and Rooney and Schweinsteiger, and we'd taken 4,500 up to Old Trafford, and it was...
I felt sorry for the sort of the Luke Chambers and the Cole Scousers of that team. Luke Chambers might not. I don't know if he has played at Old Trafford. I doubt it, because he's never played in the Premier League. But when he had a chance to lead his team out at Old Trafford to go up against Wayne Rooney, and he had to watch it from the stands while some Polish idiot who could barely play football.
Polish idiot. Okay.
Quote. There's a quote. Stick that on your tweet.
8,500.
$8,000, wasn't it? Yeah. He never played for us again after that. Did he just play in the FA Cup, or did he have a league game?
He actually played quite well that night as well.
He wasn't too bad.
I thought your work did okay. They did okay that day, but
yeah.
I know.
Cult heroes from that cup run. James Alabi, remember him with his 100% record of appearances and goals, I think.
One sub appearance, 1 goal.
Was it that cup run where Lars Torre throw his shirt to the crowd?
I think that was the game that James Alabi scored in. Wasn't
it was
at Doncaster.
The magic of the League Cup, Mikey. Anyway,
surely Dave and Stat are going to cover that game at some point in this week in ITFC history. Fingers crossed for that one anyway. Going back to Andre Dazelle, sorry about the order of these questions. Dylan says, is it just me, or did that feel like a huge moment for Dazelle, and he's worked his way back into the picture? Aside from the goal, played some nice passes, and in the first half looked like the only one to create anything. I guess we've already covered that one, haven't we? But I think we're all in agreement. It could be a big moment for him, and hopefully he takes that confidence into the England under-20s and he comes back ready to go.
It's a shame that he is going away, because it'd be nice for him to have another game at Colchester and then another game in the replay at Lincoln. Sort of 3 games in a row would give him a real sort of chance to sort of nail something down, but it's a shame he's gone away, and it's cost him a couple of times.
Judge won't get that opportunity either. I remember you talking about that, I think a couple of weeks back, Joe, about Judge is another player who needs a run of fixtures to get up to speed, and he's now off with Ireland, isn't he, I think?
He is, yeah.
He was on the bench yesterday, and I was thinking he might be one player to... I know he played most of the game at Rochdale, but he would have been good to play against Lincoln. So he misses out now as well. It's tedious.
Yeah. Got 2 questions here. They came in scarily close together in a matter of seconds. Craig F at Fims75 and Arthur Pickthorne both asked questions about Will Keane. I'll read them both and then you can both give your thoughts on them. Craig F said, should we still be waiting for Will Keane to be up to speed? Was he an easy signing to make rather than the type of striker that we needed for what appears to be a somewhat direct style of play? Arthur Pickthorne wants to know, what kind of striker is Will Keane? He's not quick and he's not great in the air. Seems like he needs perfect service to score goals as he struggles to create anything for himself. Now, I know you're a big Will Keane fan, aren't you, Joe? And you were suggesting that Keane and Jackson might be our best strike partnership only a couple of weeks ago. So I'll let you start on this one.
Yeah, what do you think now, Joe?
Well, I still think Keane is a really good player, and you saw in the second half when we got bodies around him how much better he can look. Because in the first half he was chasing shadows. He's not very good in the air at competing with the ball. He sort of jumps up and sort of puts his head in his shell like a turtle sometimes, and doesn't actually
Colin Quaner-esque.
Like Quaner. He doesn't win a lot of headers for his size, but get the ball into his feet, and there's some lovely touches. I think one of the sort of chances in the second half where we broke away was a sort of quick ball into him.
Nice touch for
laid off
Emmy Hughes,
going, and that's what you got to do. And I think if we, well, like I say, I agree he should be fit. Another 90 minutes on Tuesday, and then again in the replay. And like I say, we're sort of running out of excuses for both him and Hughes as to be fit. I don't think it was a convenient signing. I think it was a good signing because I think as a player he should be sort of too good for this level. But I don't understand how it takes them so long to get back fit. Like Emmy Hughes has been in a match day 18 every single game this season, but yet we're told he can't start 2 games in 4 days, and it's like, well, why is he in the 18 if he's still not fit? He started against Luton in August. He started against Milton Keynes. He started a couple of other games. It's like, just play him.
He doesn't, and when he does start on the bench, he doesn't seem to be the obvious choice to bring on in the scenario that we're behind, or if we're ahead. We seem to if we're behind, we seem to throw the wingers on, and if we're ahead, we just go a little bit more solid, don't we, and bring on like an extra defensive midfielder, perhaps. Rich, are you a big fan of Will Keane?
I'm not going to pretend that I'm a massive fan of his. I don't know whether it's Arthur or Craig who says what kind of player or what kind of striker is.
Yeah, that
was
Keane. Arthur.
I think that's a really pertinent question. I think yesterday I didn't really figure that one out. I think certainly when I saw him at his best last season, the Wigan away game, he was excellent in that game. And as Joe said, that was because we were playing balls to his feet, maybe with his back to goal, and then he looks to bring in Judge or someone else into the match, and then goes again to try and get the end of something. And maybe that's his game. But yesterday, Dobra wasn't a good foil for him. I don't think they were on each other's wavelength at all, and he just ended up running around a little bit like a headless chicken. Second half, maybe with Dazelle around him, I think that maybe brought the best out of him as well. I was going to call out exactly the same moment that you guys did about playing in Hughes down the left-hand side. I just think he's not an out-and-out striker. He's a good forward player, and it makes me think that maybe we need more strength there in January. Maybe we need to sign a striker on loan or something like that, because I don't think he's going to score us 10 goals, 15 goals. I think he might make us play better as a team, but if you're expecting him to score those goals, as I say, I don't think he's that kind of player. But he's got the ability. It's just, how do you get it out of him? I don't know. It seems like a bit of a luxury. I think if you've got Jackson Norwood,
what do you do if Norwood gets injured? That's the issue at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because
you're not going to get a like for like.
You haven't got anyone that you can play off there, and we're going to have to change. Or Armando Dobra again. But we're going to have to change to, if anything would happen to Norwood, you'd have to go to sort of a 4-3-3 where you've got players around effectively Will Keane, because he's going to be the only person that can lead the line to an extent, because neither Sears nor Jackson could, and there's a big worry if you lose Norwood.
Yep.
Yeah. Tony Staunton, Joe, wants to know if you think it's the end of Toto's chances after today's second terrible performance in a row, is how he described it, and another penalty given away. He added, "Love the show."
I don't think it's the end of his chances, but ultimately he is now our fourth choice centre back. He is behind, I think I'd probably put Chambers and Wolford in as 1 and 2, James Wilson is number 3, and Toto is number 4. And unless there's injuries or suspensions, or we stick to 3 at the back, and he isn't going to play because he's fourth choice now, and he is going to be someone that's coming in for the cup games. And as a player, he's not really someone that dips in and out of a team and looks good. He's a player that needs a run of games to get himself up to match sharpness. So I don't think we're going to get much out of him this season.
He should be playing these 3 games in a row, though, shouldn't he? Sorry, yes, Lincoln twice and Colchester. I think he to me he looks a little bit off the pace. I don't think he's up to full fitness yet. It's just decision making. We talked about this constantly. I don't think he was terrible on Saturday, to be honest. I think it's one of those situations where he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. If Wilson is there dealing with that situation, I'm sure Wilson puts his boot through that and kicks it into the co-op stand or something. He just seems to be a little bit calamitous.
There's such fine margins though. If he warms up properly for that tournament in Germany, he probably starts a season first choice with Chambers.
Yeah,
and
we don't see Wolfen.
We probably don't sign James Wilson.
Yeah.
Sliding doors moment perhaps for Toto Nsiala. What's worse, Nsiala's form or the chant that doesn't seem to be sung anymore about Nsiala?
Both.
No comment.
Change of direction now. Rich, Cornish Mariner. This is it's a good question for all of us, but I'm sure it'll be one that Benjamin Bloom would like to get his teeth into. He observes that Nathan Jones has joined Jack Ross and Paul Hurst in failing to make a success after jumping to a bigger club. Is this just a fluke, or is it getting harder for younger managers to succeed in the higher levels?
It's a great question. That it got me thinking earlier. The thing that we've been talking about in the pod all season is League One is really crap, isn't it? Let's be honest. The standard of the division is really low, and maybe what Championship clubs have done is assume that teams that get promoted, they're much of a muchness in comparison to Championship peers, and therefore they can make that step much easier. I just feel that Nathan Jones felt to me that he hadn't really proven anything. He hadn't taken Lincoln up, and had he stayed there,
Luton.
I think Luton. Yeah, did I say Luton? Yeah. Lincoln. Sorry, I said
yeah.
Luton. I meant Luton. Hurst hadn't really achieved anything with Shrewsbury. That he failed at the final hurdle as well. Well, not as well, but I just feel that timing, fit, and maybe an overestimation of how good League One is, I think, is a factor here. I think Nathan Jones will get another job, but I don't think he'll win the Championship. Hurst has had to go down to League Two, so I think maybe there's some timing in there. But I just think the easiest way for an up-and-coming League One manager to get a job in the Championship is to get a team promoted. Take your team into the Championship and then build your stature and reputation there.
Stick with them. Yeah.
Nathan Jones would be.
The Cowleys seem to be doing well though, don't they? They could be bucking the trend. But the one thing I would say about both Paul Hurst and Nathan Jones is both of them seem to fail not doing it on their own terms as well. Like Hurst
definitely
had this
compromise,
style that he played at Shrewsbury. That I watched this in pre-season. We looked like we were going there. And then as soon as the season started, we were all over the place. It was 4-4-1, 4-4-2-2, sorry, 4-4-2, 3-5-2, left wing back, and it's like you had something that worked previously and you didn't use it. Nathan Jones had that diamond working brilliantly at Luton, and the next manager that went in there, Mick Harford, just kept playing the same formation. Even this year, Graham Jones, who's taken over at Luton, is still playing that diamond formation. Nathan Jones worked on that, got that working a treat, went to Stoke and never played a diamond. And it's like, I know you've got to adapt to the players that you've got, but if you've got a style that's working for you, you need to try and fail on your own terms, don't you, as opposed to failing on that. And I think a big difference as well is the size of the clubs in the Championship compared to League One. At League One, I know we're in there at the moment, but we run quite a small structured club, but these clubs, they sort of run like it's back in the 70s and 80s, like Bobby Robson, where the manager was ordering the toilet paper and appointing the cleaner and stuff like that. They are doing every single part of the job and every single part of the club. You come to a club, even like Ipswich, but especially a Stoke or a team like that, and they are just a small cog in a much bigger machine.
There's an infrastructure there, isn't there, Joe?
They've got a massive academy that someone running that has the ear of the sort of the MD. You've got big commercial teams, you've got big web teams, and the manager can't control everything like they're used to, and that's a big difference to make. And I think maybe sometimes there's a struggle with that they want everyone in on their side. They want to control every part of the club, and you just simply cannot do that at a bigger club.
Yeah, great call.
Yeah, great answers from both of you there. We've heard from Cornish Mariner, so we'll stay down south, keep Twitter questions southern.
I thought we were going to do something about Chaucer. Sorry. Keep going. Canterbury Tales.
Tim Pashley, Canterbury Tales.
There you go. Always trying to find the angle for you, Mikey.
He wants to know, if we do get through, and that is a big if, what would be the worst possible draw? Have you looked at it? He asked Chichester. No, that's absolutely fine with me, Tim. That's nice and southern. He has a connection there because obviously his son was playing there until fairly recently. But is there any that you'd really hate to play against?
Well, it's possible one. It's just another League One team.
Yeah. North, miles up north
or away.
Yeah, Sunderland away or something like that.
Malden and Tiptree away would be nice.
Yeah, or Malden and Tiptree at home would be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
It'll be Rotherham. Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't want another League One team. There's enough interesting teams in there to not play someone you're going to be playing in the league.
I quite like
anyway.
Solihull Moors. How about that? That's right up my strata, that is.
Keep away days, Midlands.
Big time.
Craig F said, on last week's midweek show, Ben commented that the postponing of matches was a success when we beat Rochdale. What about matches that followed the enforced break? Did rustiness affect Doncaster and Accrington performances, and could it happen again?
Yeah. Go on, Joe.
Yep. Well, just quickly, after the Doncaster game, Cole Scouse was man of the match and was up in the corporate bit doing a little interview, and he said for the first half they struggled to get going after the break. It seemed to have affected them more than they thought it would. So, from the horse's mouth there.
Indeed.
But I suppose the only benefit of this Lincoln replay is our game after the international break is the replay of the cup. So if we don't win that one, then we still have the league game next. So it's not a league game we haven't won due to the international break curse.
Wonderful. Another change of direction here. Will Airy. This will really show how down with the kids you are, Rich. Are you aware of the fight that happened between KSI and Logan?
Yeah,
Logan Paul?
That was well sick.
Hey kids, how are you doing?
Two guys off MySpace, wasn't it, Mikey? Yep.
Yeah, I think it was Bebo versus MySpace. Yeah. So Ipswich Town player, past or present, who would you back in a boxing ring? He questions maybe J-Tab to reinvent himself yet again. I think he'd be pretty good in. He must be only a flyweight now with all the weight he's lost to do horse racing.
Nippy, wouldn't he? Yeah. To be fair, so this is how down with the kids I am, Mikey. The kids will know that what I'm saying here. KSI was much better when he just did videos about FIFA. I'm just going to leave it at that. But I think I'd quite like to see Thomas Holy versus Tyson Fury. I think that'd be quite an interesting one. I think Coochie on his day might have been quite good in the ring as well. I don't know. Am I missing anyone really obvious? Is there a footballer pun?
George Santos, I reckon, would be hard.
Yeah,
Santos versus Diallo would be quite good.
He was more handy with his boots, though, wasn't he, Santos?
Yeah.
Less his fists. I'm trying to think. Magilton got into a bit of fisticuffs, didn't he, with Magilton versus Jono? We'll do that one. Undercard.
Mauricio Tarrico would be a dirty fight, I'd imagine. There'll be some shots below the belt when the ref isn't looking.
Exactly right, yeah.
I feel like we're onto something here.
Surely the beat is the one then, isn't he? The strongest, the quickest, the most everything. The beat in the ring.
I reckon he'd be like, I watched Snatch the other day. I reckon the beat would be like Brad Pitt in that film, in that he'd be running around the ring, he'd take some beatings, and then suddenly just spark some guy out with one punch. That's how I see it. And the beat would be a really great boxer name as well, wouldn't it?
He'd probably have a better Irish accent than Brad Pitt managed to muster for that film as well.
And I suppose George Santos could be Gorgeous George, couldn't he?
There you go.
Yeah. Perfect. Justin says, loving the podcast again this season. Thank you very much, Justin. This is Justin CUK. So Dezella's Muren, Tyson and Messi in one. Can we get 250,000 for him in January? I think that's a flippant question, that. But more importantly, our second string team was as good as a mid-table side from League One. An FA Cup win would be good, but who would prefer the league and leasing double?
To be honest, if we were to take one competition seriously out of the two, I'd be quite happy to go for the leasing.com trophy to try and win that, because we have a realistic chance of winning that. With the best team in the competition, aren't we? In reality, we are as things stand, we're the best team in League One. We're the best team in the competition, so there's no one to fear in that. But I can't imagine we're going to win the FA Cup.
Is it all Southern teams that we play, Joe, until the semis as well? until the finals.
Yeah, I think it's
so. I'm trying to think of any decent. All the decent teams around us in the league. Is Gillingham, Wickham? Are they still in it?
Portsmouth,
Peterborough,
pretty handy.
Okay, fine.
I'd say some of the top teams in the league are Southern, and you'd have to beat some of them. But like I say, if we get within a couple of games of Wembley, I'd like us to give it a go. I can see why you'd rotate up until that point, and I think we're doing it exactly right in that competition because it's a Mickey Mouse one. But when you get there one game away from Wembley, you've got to play your best team at that point because it's a big money spinner, and it's a big. I say it'd be a massive day. Like I say, I know it's a crap competition, but I'd love to get to Wembley as an Ipswich fan, and I'd much rather be there in the leasing.com final than the playoff final.
Yeah,
because I want to be straight up.
We'd be bricking it if we were on the playoff final, wouldn't we?
So you've heard it here first. The leasing.com trophy is the real quiz. So let's move on to player stats. Right. Are you two going to go up against each other, or do you want to do it together? How are we going to do this?
Do you want to tell us what the topic is, Mikey?
It is height, Ipswich Town players and height.
Go for it, yeah. We'll go against each other.
It is quite literally higher or lower. And we're going to start with David Johnson, who is 5'6". Next up, J-Tab. Joe, higher or lower than 5'6"?
Mikey's been doing some prep, hasn't he?
I reckon he is higher than 5'6".
Yeah.
5'7".
According to Wikipedia, he is 5'7". Matt Holland, Rich.
Higher. I reckon he's.
Slightly easier question: is Matt Holland taller than J-Tab?
Hey, pipe down, Joe.
Matt Holland is 5 foot.
Is 5'11"?
5'9".
5'9". Is he? Yeah. Deceptive.
Good leap though. Arnold Muren is next up for you, Joe.
Joe's getting the good ones.
Yeah, you're getting the hard ones.
Do you remember Arnold Muren? Were you alive when he was playing for us? Don't think you were you?
I wasn't alive when he was playing for us. I would say he looks quite sort of wiry, and so I'd say maybe taller.
A little bit taller, I'd go with
that. According to my Googling, he's only 5'8".
Oh, wow, I haven't met him, and he looked taller than that when I met him. So
okay, so so Rich, chance to take the lead here.
He's promised wholly taller than Arnold Muren.
It's Richard Naylor.
Yeah, I'd say it wasn't Naylor bang on 6 foot.
Yeah, but roughly 6 foot, 6'1". Next up, an easy one for you here, Joe. Jason DeVos.
Taller than Naylor.
Correct. He was 6'4", or 6'3", 6'4". Shefki Kuchi, Rich.
Little bit. I think he's 6'1". A little bit shorter than DeVos.
6'2". Russell Osman, Joe. Higher or lower than 6'2"?
I'd say he's probably like 6'1".
No, is he a 6 footer?
He was just centre half, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's 6 foot on the dot.
Is he? Mikey, can I just understand how's your ordering played, and what's your thinking behind the order? Have you got Guinevere out? Is this how Paul Lambert does his teams? I'm just wondering what the sequence is. I'm just. Anyway,
you're such a backseat quizzer.
Yeah, sorry, man. I know you're hosting as well. Doing a great job, Mikey.
Next up is Fabian Wilness. Higher or lower than 6 foot?
A little bit lower. I want to say lower, but not by much. Like 5'9", 10.
He's 5'11".
Oh,
yeah, another one that was good, and he's punched above his weight in the air, didn't he? And to finish, Luciano Civelli, Joe.
That was the obvious one, wasn't it?
I remember him being quite tall. I'd say he was 6'1".
Yep, you bang on.
Cool.
So yeah, very impressive stuff, guys. I think Rich edged that because you got one of them wrong.
Got the easy questions.
It's always fun, though, isn't it?
It's great when Joe doesn't ruin it as well, because Joe's usually spot on. So I'm quite happy to take the win off Joe.
I'm surprised Joe's still on the call here. I can tell he's absolutely livid about losing.
Furious.
That's
the real quiz.
Rodman's yearbook out for preparation for next week's pod.
Joe reads a book a week, so yeah.
Smartest guy I know. Next up for Town is the leasing.com clash at Colchester. So we'll review that one in midweek. Rich, I look at you for the midweek show.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if it's me. I'm not going to it, and I don't know whether it's on iFollow, but we'll sort some. We'll be back. Someone from the pod will be back to talk about that one. Are you going to that one, Joe? Are you one of the 2,500?
I have got a ticket, but I don't think I'm going to go. I'm in Centre Parks this week, so I got a ticket on the odd chance I'm able to sneak away. But I sort of tried to float the idea with Mrs. F, and I got quite short shrift. So I think I may be struggling to get away for it, but never say never.
You did go to Stratford today, though, didn't you, Joe? So you must have got some brownie points. Did you drive down there?
From what I saw.
I was in Norwich, actually. I was at Chapelfield in Norwich.
Ooh, God.
I was up there just doing some scouting. I've noticed that the Norwich shop in Chapelfield is closed, so that was nice. I didn't have to walk past that.
Okay.
From what I understand, Mikey, from my brother-in-law, who's a Cole U fan, there might be more of us on Tuesday night than them. I think they still do the boycott, and I don't think the magic of the leasing.com trophy is kind of rubbed off on them. So
I thought they boycott most of their games.
And a good win for Coventry there on Saturday as well, by the way. We'll get Coventry in the second round.
They're coming up, aren't they, Rich?
7th of December. Yeah, the Ipswich derby. Yeah.
Yeah. There could be a few of those, though.
It's true.
It's another break before we finally return to league action at home on Saturday the 23rd against Blackpool. Ben was at the Brian Clough derby at the weekend, so please check out his matchday experience on YouTube. Always a good watch. Always seems to include Shayley in them now as well, which is obviously doing well for him on the YouTube channel. Joe, the under-23s in action this week. I'm guessing they're in action in the leasing.com, aren't they?
Yeah, they will be there. But also the bigger news, FA Youth Cup. We obviously beat Kings Lynn 6-1 on, was it Wednesday night? And we actually we've drawn, if we beat Exeter in the second round, we've drawn Cardiff in the third round. And the game with Exeter, because the Kings Lynn tie was so late, the game with Exeter has to be played by this Saturday. So the game will be this week. It hasn't been announced yet when it is, but I spoke to a few secret squirrels behind the scenes, and I think they're hoping to play the game on Saturday at Portman Road, Saturday afternoon. So that would be, if they can do that, that'd be pretty good with the first team on an international break, that some people may be able to get their hit of football down at Portman Road on Saturday afternoon against Exeter City and have a few beers, give the young boys some support, and sort of fingers crossed that is Saturday, because I'm away Monday to Friday, so I don't want to miss it. But hopefully Saturday night will be, or sort of Saturday afternoon. So I'll be tweeting about that on the Academy Twitter feed. So just sort of keep your eyes peeled, listeners, for that if you're at a loose end.
Wonderful. And Rich, anything going on your Twitter feed this week out of the normal, or
no?
Epic bants.
Just talking about KSI and Logan Paul, Mikey, as I tend to do most weeks,
and being a general chilled out entertainer.
I've made some broad promises to do some more video content at some point. So I think Ian Marshall was kind of seeking a top 10 goals compilation. We've already got the number one sorted. So that might happen. I need to do a Pablo one. I've got Jono's one that I've been doing for about a year. So yeah, we'll do more of that. And it's Coochie's birthday when we're recording, and we put his debut goal against Watford in there.
Lovely goal.
It was a nice ball from a lovely assist from
Jim. That day was superb.
Go looking for that one. And the Bristol City 6-0 was on, I think, on this day back in, I don't know, I want to say 2010, probably wrong.
Yeah.
What was hat-trick?
John Walters retweeted it, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, made a nice comment about Jim Agilton as a manager.
Yeah.
What was the comment?
I think he just said Jim Agilton, great manager, or something like that, and he used the wizard emoji for Pablo Caniago.
Nice.
Which is great.
Jim is on Instagram, it seems, at the moment. He's been pretty active on there the last few days.
He's very busy on social media at the moment, isn't he? Yeah.
Maybe is he, do you reckon, Northern Ireland's new assistant manager? Possibly.
He's part of the setup currently. I'd be interested more whether he's going to go with Michael O'Neill to Stoke, because I know he's part of the setup there. That might be going that way, but I know he does a lot of the development for the under 21s, sort of all the young age group teams. So
watch this space.
Good cop, bad cop at Stoke. So yeah, any final words from the two of you before we bid farewell?
No, I'm off to have a lemon tart and a millionaire shortbread, Mikey.
Wonderful. And you, Joe?
No, nothing from me.
Yeah, well, enjoy Centre Parks.
Keep an eye out for the Youth Cup game, that's what I'll say.
Yeah, the Youth Cup game. Fingers crossed for next Saturday. Be careful what you wish for.